Hello and welcome back to Profit Tree's YouTube channel, where we're talking about all things digital transformation. In today's video, we're going to be taking a quick look at how to conduct a scenario plan analysis in line with your business. If you have any questions throughout the duration of the video, reach out to myself or Profit Tree and I'll be more than happy to help. So before we take a wee look at the different steps you want to consider while conducting a scenario planning analysis within your own business, I suppose we can consider it as a way to actually integrate future thinking and communication. And it's a way to actually offer us plausible and possible alternative views on how a business environment in which we operate might develop and change in the future. So basically what we're trying to do here is look into the future of our business and see what's ahead of us, what do we need to prepare for, and how can we actually become proactive and act in a way to either exploit opportunities or even at times minimize some of the risks that are out there as well. And this has become even more important with the digitally advanced era that we find ourselves in. And I suppose as business leaders, we need to become more aware of the future business environment to be able to exploit these opportunities and mitigate risks. But not only that, we don't want to be left behind either in terms of our competitors exploiting these opportunities either. So let's take a wee bit of context into this. And if we actually think back towards the Blockbuster and BlackBerry era, where both these companies actually failed to consider what was going on around them in terms of how global demand was shifting and how their customers' buying habits were also changing. And both companies actually failed to recognise a possible or plausible future reality and actually resulted in a later business decline. So I suppose if we don't actually become aware in terms of what scenarios are we likely to be in the future, we can miss opportunities and we can actually see our company fall behind in those of our competitors. So that's just a quick summary of scenario planning analysis. We'll have a look now at the steps that you want to consider while going through the process. So the first step within scenario plan analysis is pretty simple. You're going to have to go through a PESTEL analysis. So PESTEL is an acronym for political, economic, social, technological, environmental and legal. And these are basically the factors that have the potential to influence or impact your business or industry that you're operating within. So carrying out the PESTEL analysis is the first stage of scenario planning. I have conducted a video on this which you can find on Profit Tree's YouTube, and I'll leave a link within the description box below. But as I mentioned, this is going to be the key first step to trying to figure out what key factors is going to make up the next step of the scenario process. So the next step is going to ask you to select and rank the key driving forces. So what we want to do here is from your PESTEL analysis, which you conducted in the first step, you will then select the most likely key drivers which is going to occur out of your findings then. So which key driver, which factor is most likely to occur and impact your business then. So as you can see here from the grid then, you will categorize each of these factors into where they're likely to fall in terms of impact and uncertainty towards your business. And what you want to focus on here, and I'll show you an example of this afterwards, is the ones or the factors in fact that you're going to put in to the right hand category in terms of the critical scenario drivers. So as you can see here, the top right corner, you have the critical scenario drivers, which is high impact and high uncertainty. And these critical scenario drivers are going to inform the following step of completing a scenario planning analysis. So I'll show you an example here now. So if I was to conduct a PESTEL analysis just in terms of a general one towards any type of business, you can see here from the analysis that I have conducted, just for the example of this video, that I have two key drivers that go into the top right quadrant of this. And number one is going to be in terms of the economy, in terms of the economic factor, with the rise of inflation and the risk of a global recession. And the other is going to be in relation to technology in terms of the advancements offering businesses worldwide opportunity then. And I'll show you what all this means within the following step. So the next step is going to ask us to build a scenario matrix, and within this step I would actually encourage you to get the involvement of your team members as much as possible, because you want to have some sort of sense of transparency with clear communication levels built throughout this, as this will help you conclude with the overall decision on what scenario is most likely to be the outcome. As you can see here, I've actually went for 4 different types of movies here in terms of the Titanic, The Pursuit of Happiness, The Blind Side and Singing in the Rain. To be honest with you, I think I've only seen 3 out of the 4 movies here. I haven't seen Singing in the Rain, to be honest, but it's a good movie title that relates to one of the worlds, which you'll see in the following section. But if it is a good movie, maybe recommend it within the comment box below and I'll give it a watch in the future. So as I mentioned, this is up to you in terms of how creative and imaginative you want to get, in terms of maybe you want a colour scheme the scenario building matrix, or you want to go for some type of theme. It's entirely up to you here. But you'll see within the following slide here how this relates to the building of the scenario matrix. So this brings me on to actually building the scenario planning matrix, and it probably looks a wee bit overwhelming at the beginning, but I'll go through it in detail before going on to the final step of completing a scenario planning analysis then. So you can see here towards the top you have growing technology, and the opposite of that towards the bottom was technology constraints. So this is the two possible outcomes. In relation to my first point from the PSA analysis in terms of the critical scenario factor of technology, these are two possible outcomes of that. And towards the left and right hand side, we have the global recession and a growing economy. So two possible outcomes are obviously both completely different from each other. But this is how you would categorize the scenario planning matrix then. And then you have the different categories in the middle in terms of the movie titles as I went over. So you can see here the pursuit of happiness, and that is in terms of having a growing economy and growing technology. So everything's thriving here. Businesses can expect a range of opportunities, positive business growth. They're reaching their goals and objectives, and their customer satisfaction, their employee satisfaction is at an ultimate high. So they have no complaints in this department. Over to the right, we can see singing in the rain in terms of a growing technology and a global recession. So if we can think of the most plausible and possible outcome, I think this sounds like the most likely one. I'll go over the other two just to make sure, but I think this is the one that we're going to be left with. In terms of technology continuing to grow, in terms of innovation thriving, but at the same time we're going to see a decrease in customer demand as a result of the global recession, with a reduced risk taken within the company as well. Towards the bottom here we can go over then the blind side. So this is where the economy is growing, but we do have technology constraints. So that's another area is going to be a bit of a problem for us if we did find ourselves within this world in terms of consumer demand increasing, which is obviously a positive, but we're going to see a failure to actually match this consumer demand through the lack of technology which is available. Over to the right we have the Titanic in terms of the sinking ship. So there's no opportunities here. So we'll have a global recession and we'll have technology constraints. So we really don't want to find ourselves within this world. But if we did, we're going to have to actually strategize towards surviving, which we really don't want to do here. So we have no opportunities. We've failed to recognise the future, low productivity, and a possible business decline. So that concludes the 4 scenario worlds in terms of what each scenario could possibly mean for your business. And this is going to be completely dependable on your business and the industry in which you operate within, as a lot of businesses are going to find themselves in different scenarios based on how they actually reach the customers. So it's important that you're really tailoring this towards your own needs and understanding exactly where are you likely to go and how can you become proactive and act in a way to exploit these opportunities and minimise any risk. So the last step leaves you in a position with deciding which is the most plausible or possible world that is going to be the outcome of each of your 4 scenarios here. And this is where I'm going to encourage again the involvement and the communication and the team building initiative that comes with this in terms of letting other people give their ideas in terms of where they believe is most likely to be the most plausible option, and trying to get everyone to have an open discussion on this topic. And I suppose this is one of the things that you might have to take an initiative of in terms of going into as much detail as possible when it comes to describing each of the 4 worlds, as this will offer clarity into which one is most likely to happen. As I briefly mentioned in the past slide, we had mentioned that the pursuit of happiness in terms of a global recession and technology advancing most likely to happen in the future. So this is the most plausible world from my own perspective, and from that perspective I can then develop strategies and make recommendations for the future. So now we understand where we are, where we're going. Let's start thinking about how we're going to get there, how we're going to put the plans in place to basically exploit our opportunities. So if we do remain with the context of the pursuit of happiness in terms of a global recession and technology advancing, what things can we do to ensure that we're actually advancing ourselves in terms of our own company? We're continuing to grow and adapt to the new ways of the future environment. And one of the things I'm going to mention maybe is through the likes of maybe conducting a digital transformation, looking at transforming your business and taking on new technology, exploiting technology and using it to your own advantage to either meet new customer demands or grow your business internally. Or you could restructure your business entirely in terms of changing your operation, your workflows and the way you're doing things to match the new technology as well. So there's a range of opportunities there in terms of how you want to strategize, but this basically summarizes the final step. So I do hope you found that worthwhile, and you enjoyed that. If you do want some more context or understanding in around this tool or any future tools you find on ProfileTree's YouTube, make sure and reach out to myself and I'd be more than happy to help. My name's Lachlan with ProfileTree, and thank you for watching today.